I'm gonna prove that Kaneki-ken is in fact not a ghoul, and that we have been lied to throughout the whole anime series. So I'm gonna start with giving some insight into Kaneki and bring us back to the first episode, where Kaneki and his best friend Hide talk about this chick that Kaneki is kinda in love with. We know that the woman they're talking about is Kamishiro Rize. So we skip ahead a bit and Kaneki managed to score a date with Rize, but as we know, it turns out she's a ghoul. And she was kind of scouting Kaneki for a while, because she wanted to eat his ass. Not like his asshole, but like eat him. Anyway, she tricks him and he's bloodied with some holes in his body and kinda on the verge of death. But then suddenly, out of nowhere, a bunch of construction beams somehow fall onto Rize. How convenient. The next scene that we see is the one that needs thorough analysis. We are in Kaneki's psyche and he's unconscious at the moment. We can also hear a doctor and what seems like his assistant or a nurse with him. That doctor is Dr. Kano. He's arguing with someone over using Rize's organs to be transplanted into Kaneki's body. And the imagery we see on the screen show a naked Kaneki and Rize coming closer together, implying that Rize's organs will be transplanted into Kaneki's body, which will inevitably lead to Kaneki becoming the first ever artificial one-eyed ghoul. But what if I was to tell you that this wasn't what actually happened, and that we were all tricked into thinking this? The conversation that Kaneki and we the audience heard were in fact real. However, that conversation was deliberately had in front of Kaneki so that he could hear everything that was being said in that moment. What I believe is that Dr. Kano, instead of transplanting Rize's organs into Kaneki, placed some sort of mind-altering drug throughout Kaneki's body that made him feel like a ghoul. When we see Kaneki wake up in the hospital with his left eye fully black with veins around it, it's most likely due to Kano's mischievousness. He must have completed some sort of procedure where he was able to place an object in Kaneki's eye to change the color and contents of his eye. I wouldn't put it past Kano to pull off such an elaborate scheme. We see Kaneki later on talking to Kano about his afflictions and that his sense of taste was messed up and he found any sort of food disgusting. To which Kano pulls out the most ugly bastard smile I've ever seen and says that it's probably due to some sort of psychological state that's causing him to feel this way. That smile must have been him glad to see that his drug that's been working on for a while and that is finally taking effect, and that Kaneki's face is actually becoming a ghoul. Dr. Kano realizes that it's kinda impossible to create a ghoul, so instead has been working on a psyche-shattering drug that completely deceives the brain and body into thinking that they possess a ghoul's body and brain. When Kaneki gets back to his house, we see a scene where he is alone in the dark with a TV in the background, conveniently playing a show where a ghoul expert is discussing why ghouls cannot eat normal food and can only survive off of human bodies. Kano must have decided to discharge Kaneki on that specific day, so that Kaneki would be able to see this program to lead him into thinking that he really is a ghoul. But that poses a question. If Kano has created a prototype or successfully working drug that can make people think that they're ghouls, why would he need to put Kaneki further into that idea? Well, the fact of the matter is that Kano's drug can never completely alter the human mind. That's just kinda impossible. So to keep the effects of the drug to be long lasting, Kano must have led Kaneki into a bleak realization that he is in fact a ghoul, to which he succeeds and Kaneki begins eating as much as normal food as possible, and he begins to throw up from every single bite and gulp of food and drink he ingests. If Kaneki was in a mindset of, oh, there's no way I'm a ghoul, then he would be okay with at least tasting the food. However, as soon as that TV program played, it was over, and Kaneki's mind was completely under the control of Kano. If you think about it, it explains why Kaneki was able to later on in the show not gag at the taste of food and learn to hold it in, because his stress levels and his psyche were completely stable. Although at this point, he had come to the realization that he was a ghoul, he was not really in that state of panic and frenzy anymore, and was able to control himself. But now we move on to the biggest hindrance to this theory, which is his powers. We see Kaneki throughout the show learn how to use his Rinkaku Kagune, and gets in quite a few fights where we see him fight with this Kagune. But there's surprisingly an easy answer to this question. Kano's drug is revolutionary, so revolutionary to the point where he is able to adapt and grow with Kaneki's brain. It responds to his thoughts by adhering to what his mind wills. Kaneki is informed that as a ghoul, he must have a Kagune. You see, if Kaneki never believes that he has a Kagune, then he would never be able to use any of his abilities, as he's not a ghoul in the first place. However, due to the drug working in tandem with his brain, he's not only capable of using a Kagune, but also possesses the ability to continue to evolve. This would explain so much, as we see that Kaneki always seems to get out of situations where we are placed in his mind in which he is talking to himself or other people, to which he suddenly comes out of these life-threatening experiences stronger, but he was never in danger in the first place. Kano's drug is what has been repeatedly saving him. The drug is able to pick up on Kaneki's distress and desire for power in that moment, which leads to his body surpassing its limits and becoming stronger and faster than any human or ghoul. Think about how Kaneki was able to defeat Yamori, the dude who tortured him in that brutal scene and put some centipede shit in his ear. We were shown Yamori's Kagune being eaten and Kaneki using that power. However, it was the unison of Kaneki and the drug that was able to get him out of that position. The thing is that Kaneki never knows this, so we never know this either. We are shown some sort of reasoning as to why Kaneki is always able to get out of situations, or why he's able to self-heal, possess superhuman abilities, as well as even knowing swordsmanship, even when he's never even practiced it. Just think about if Kaneki did find out about this drug. Could have saved Hide, protected the antique coffee shop, or smashed Toka way earlier. Anyway, I hope that's convinced you, and that's everything in this video. I hope everything made sense to you, so feel free to discuss more with me in the comment section about the video, and thanks for watching.